Excuse me, let me start that again. Hey folks, welcome to G for G on YouTube. I am Napalm Dawn, and I must apologize that this is the video that you are seeing currently and not the video that was originally planned for this slot. I've been talking most of the week that we were going to do a content reveal on Thursday night for Marvel Avengers Alliance Redux. Unfortunately, due to the length of the reveal video, it was split into two parts, and the first part unfortunately ran into a bit of a snafu, and it didn't record, which is not necessarily the worst thing in the world, because several of the people contributing to the video had some on and off net issues that kind of settled in by the second half. And we also tended to ramble in the responses a little bit, so it ran a little long in the tooth, whereas the second half was actually better. So we're hitting pause on that. We're going to regroup and decide what to do. Part 1, a redo of Part 1 is actually up on YouTube, but is unlisted currently, as I do not have the go-ahead to put that out there. So we're going to decide over the next day or so what we want to do here. Either go forward with the new footage of video 1 and the existing footage of video 2, which was recorded properly, or do something completely different. So I apologize. A very good portion of the blame, the majority of it, rests with me, so I do apologize that this is not the video you were looking for, but we are going to talk about Marvel Avengers Alliance in this particular video. So we're in Marvel Strike Force right now, and we are talking about the Black Order, which is new to the game. For some particular reason, Thanos is not listed here, and you could say, well, that's because he kind of oversees the Black Order. They're his henchmen, but by the same token, every other leader in the game is still part of the group that they lead over here. So Graviton for AIM, Red Skull for Hydra as an example. So it is a little surprising Thanos isn't recategorized, but maybe they're working towards a rework for him and then they'll put him in. But let's talk about Proxima and Corvus Glaive. So Proxima Midnight is coming to us as a villain, cosmic, skill, controller, and a member of the Black Order. And we are looking at her classic representation rather than her movie representation, and we'll definitely get into that. Right now she unlocks at 45 shards, and there is an offer for her on the table in the store. She has Starless Strike, where she attacks a primary target and she clears a positive effect. It cannot be blocked, and if Corvus Glaive is an ally, it cannot be dodged. Oddly enough, there's no piercing on this. And as we escalate through, the damage goes up, it clears multiple effects, then she eventually gets an assist. She guarantees a 2 positive effect clear, and then she eventually always gains the assist from Corvus Glaive at 100%. Star Throw attacks the primary target for 70% damage. It chains to 1 or 2 within 2 spaces of the previous target for 60% damage. Dodging breaks the chain, which is fairly common for attacks like this. An increase in damage, additional chaining, and offense down, additional damage to primary secondary, additional chaining, and at the orange level the offense down is guaranteed, and he ups the damage. So I don't think any of these are really orange worthy yet, but we need to see what Corvus Glaive does first. Finally, on Last Light, we have the piercing, and this is kind of to be expected from her. She's always sort of been representatives as having the piercing on her attacks. Piercing increase with a speed bar change, a slow, speed bar change, a stun, and a stun. So the slow is guaranteed, a slow and a stun and a change of speed bar is really, really good, because now you can see where she's called a controller, because that right here is ridiculous levels of controlling. Knocking their speed bar back, slowing them, and then stunning them means you're really taking somebody out of the picture for quite some time. This is sort of what I like to do when I know a tank is about ready to taunt and kind of mess up my kill target. This is the kind of ability I would love to do, like, say, on Luke Cage, right before I know he's going to tank for the defenders for a while. Hitting him with something like this really just takes him out of the picture for a bit. And then finally a passive of Embrace the Void on spawn gains speed up. If Thanos is around and he doesn't have the Space Stone, grant him the Space Stone and speed up. This character can only do this once per match, so that means if she gets rezzed, she's not going to throw another speed up. She gains focus. Black Order and Thanos allies gain focus. Focus again. Chance to clear stealth from the most injured enemy. Interesting. And always clear stealth, gain focus, and Black Order allies gain a lot of focus. I don't really know where her number one orange is going to be. I would almost say Last Light, to maybe remove tanks or super high threats that are about ready to do something bad, like, say, a Crossbones getting ready to blow up, or maybe Spider-Man's about ready to go into his stun round or something like that. I think that might be the first candidate there for orange. And then maybe Embrace the Void if you're putting her on a Black Order team, and then start throwing Starless Strike in there somewhere. Corvus Glaive, Shadow Slash. Attack the primary for piercing, clear positive effect. It can't be blocked. If Proxima Midnight is an ally, can't be dodged. So in Marvel Avengers Alliance, a lot of times when people are pulled in for an assist, they do a specific move in their kit. Usually it's their first ability, but some characters were known for doing their second ability. Most times they were allowed to apply the effect of the ability that they were called upon. So if, Iron Fist was assisting on an attack, he would do whatever is tied to his level 1 attack. If Proxima is able to make Corvus attack with Shadow Slash and then have this effect on it, then it's going to be really handy to have those two paired up. I always like when a game has a mechanic like that, something you can game in the system. So piercing, clearing more positive effects, and these are guarantees, by the way. Piercing, chance to get an assist from Proxima, which is funny. Piercing, and clearing positive effects, always gain the assist from Proxima. So it's very similar to her kit. Bloodletting, attack the most injured enemy for piercing, ignoring taunt and stealth. So we got one of these again. Increases in piercing all the way up. So this doesn't really seem that orange worthy. Grim Glaive, attack the primary target for 80% piercing damage during stealth. This ability deals double damage against the primary target if they have defense up. Attack all adjacent targets for 80% piercing. It's a big swing, probably. Piercing up on primaries and secondaries. Again, this one seems a little low on the orange order. Right now, I'm kind of liking Shadow Slash a little bit more for his first orange. And then Loyal Lieutenant. On spawn, gain offense up for 2 turns. On an ally Thanos turn, if he doesn't have the Mind Stone, give him the Mind Stone and offense up for 2 turns. This character can only do this once per match. When an enemy or this character drops below 50% health, gain 1 stealth up to a maximum of 2. Very interesting. Any enemy on the opposite side or himself. Gaining damage. Black Order and Thanos allies gain damage. Crit chance. While in stealth, gain crit chance damage, same for Black Order and Thanos allies, and then when in stealth, whole bunch of crit chance damage. I think this is orange worthy in the number 1 slot, and then Shadow Slash, and then decide out of Bloodletting and Grim Glaive. So what I like to do, oh, and by the way, he's villain, cosmic, he's skill, he's a brawler, and he's Black Order. So here, Proxima comes in as a controller, and here, Corvus Glaive comes in as a brawler. Now, in comparison to their iterations beforehand, let's deal with Marvel Future Fight. She's playable in Marvel Future Fight as a universal. She comes in as a natural tier 2. She's on the supervillain side. You get her from world boss raids. She has a classic representation, and she has a Affinity War representation. She's not the highest of the Black Orders in terms of what people want, but she's what noobs tend to get. And I don't mean noobs in the bad way. I mean people just starting to break into getting natural tier 2s. You get Proxima early, and it's always recommended you get Proxima early due to the fact that she assists as a pretty good striker. So she's got the classic representation and the movie representation. Now, for those of you who are into voice actors and actresses, I always thought Proxima was voiced in the movies by the same voice as Kerrigan from the StarCraft representation with Blizzard, which is Tricia Helfner. I looked in the credits, and no, Proxima was not voiced by Tricia Helfner, and I really, really thought she was. It sounded like she was. So, moving on to Corvus Glaive. Corvus in Future Fight has a classic representation and has an Infinity War representation. To be honest, unlike Proxima Midnight, I think these two don't change that much. This one makes him look a little more human in the face, and this one makes him look a little more goblin-y. The Glaive is still very much the same. Comes in as a natural T2, is a universal, and that's that. Now the rest of the Black Order, for reference, there is Black Dwarf, as he was originally called in Marvel Future Fight and Marvel Avengers Alliance, but thanks to the movie he got renamed to be Cull Obsidian, and I'm not really too sure why that happened. Nobody really cares that much about Black Dwarf or Cull Obsidian. He's low down in the rankings of getting Black Order characters. You tend to go for Proxima early and then move on to some of the more important ones. You have Ebony Maw coming in as his classic representation. Again, all these are going to be universals there. And then there's his movie representation, which makes him look like the priest in Poltergeist 2 that leads basically the army of undead, and at the very end of the movie turns into that weird spectral priest creepy thing. I always kind of thought that about that look. Then we have, I believe the next one will be Supergiant, but we'll find out. There's Proxima. There she is. Supergiant only has the game representation. She was not featured in it. We have Thanos, and this Thanos is probably the most common, even though now we are starting to see some games deal with this one's called Hobo Thanos in Marvel Future Fight, and of course there's Infinity War and Endgame, and they see a little more visibility now, but typically Thanos is almost always represented as that. And let me just give one extra look over here to make sure I didn't miss any of the other Black Orders. Okay, looks like we did take care of everybody in Future Fight. So Marvel Avengers Alliance. Proxima was very interesting in that she came in as a blaster, despite the fact that she was so melee oriented. She showed up once and then showed up again a little later on in Spec Ops 20, where her health went up a little bit, but not much change. She appeared in Season 2's Chapter 10, Mission 6, and then Spec Ops 13, Spec Ops 20, Spec Ops 23. She also showed up in the Power Tech dailies and the Teamwork Asgardian dailies, and she's in the simulator under the Villain Archive, which unfortunately is not in Marvel Avengers Alliance Redux now, so I can't bring it up there. In Spec Ops 13, she had Stabbing Pains, Spinning Kick, Aggressive Shift, Defensive Shift, Impaling Blow. In the simulator, which is where most people saw her, same moves except she didn't flee, obviously. Here's the crits that is often talked about, guaranteed hit. She had quick actions as she would shift from reducing damage and countering, or penetrating shield statuses and ignoring enemy defense. So here's the piercing that we talked about. She had disadvantage, which turns off somebody's class bonus, and staggered, which reduces dodging, and a pain, which is a bordered debuff that stacks that increases the damage you take. And then eventually she had deadly crits, guaranteed hit, subtle, true strike, and then not much changed when she came back in Spec Ops 20. And again, she was a member of the Black Order, which in Marvel Avengers Alliance had these characters: Black Dwarf, Corvus Glaive, Ebony Maw, who you never fought in combat but talked a lot, Thanos, Supergiant, and of course herself, Corvus. Always looked like this. This was a very mean looking Corvus. I like his representation here more than the movie, and more than Marvel Future Fight's default skin, and more than Marvel Strike Force's skin. That's a very mean looking Corvus there. I mean, the spear is still, or the glaive is still very, very powerful looking. His face just looks incredibly ruthless, that there is not a Starscream-esque let's get the hell out of here bone in his body. He came in as a scrapper, had high health and stamina, reasonably high attack, poor defense, very, very high accuracy. If you remember, Corvus Glaive often resurrected when we fought him in Marvel Avengers Alliance. He had cruelty. He gains a damage boost when attacking a bleeding target, penetration, preemptive counterattack, or premeditation, excuse me, a chance to perform a preemptive counterattack, reciprocating glaive. This is where he revived with 50% health, and debuffs were removed. It can only occur once every 4 turns. Relentless, which is unstunnable. He was in Spec Ops Infinity Mission, which I think is the early one. 13. And then, you know, exactly like Proxima, he shows up in 20 and 23, and the same dailies. We'll go with the simulator version of himself, where he had Waving Glaive, Deadly Crits, and Bleeding. That is odd that Marvel Strike Force did not play into the bleeds. That's really, really surprising. I mean, Marvel Strike Force, I kind of fault them for only having the one hit point reducing debuff. There is no burning, there is no poison, everything is bleeding. And the fact that neither Corvus nor Proxima actually cause bleeds is a bit strange, considering you're either getting pierced with a spear or getting sliced by this glaive. I don't agree with that very much. But bleeding, he had Piercing Strike, which makes you hemorrhage and bleed. And then that's where the cruelty kicks in. And then Animosity, which was generating additional stacks of bleeding. And he was nimble, where he had a high chance to avoid attacks. Now, I'm going to show some footage of Proxima in action. I can't find anything in my video, so this is a video from Flaming Fox. And this is Spec Ops 13 when she came into play. So there's her classic representation, and she came in with some AIM characters and killed both of them off for a massive overkill. Now she goes into aggressive stance. There's the spinning kick, which would have caused disadvantage, if I remember correctly. Black Panther counters with bleeding. A really nice hit from the Phoenix 5 Cyclops over there. That's Girl's best friend, if I remember correctly, on the Agent. Those two are tacticians, so they're getting extra turns off of Proxima being a blaster. There's Stabbing Pains, which inflicts the pain debuff. And Staggered. Get back in the fight, gives a morale boost. Probably Cyclops can kill her from here. Oh, she's flanked already. Yeah. So, we're not going to see her in action very much over here. She's oddly not dying. She may be scripted to... Oh, yeah, so she does a flee over there. She may come back. Yeah, she comes back in this round. So, yep, Girl's best friend. That scroll. That's rare that people use that scroll. Hardly ever saw that. This guy's got interesting stuff on his Agent. Still at the time, so this was 2013, so this is when slow combat was still a thing. And his Black Panther just mauled Proxima. She's gonna flee again. Yeah. So that version of Proxima was absolutely wasted over there. And yeah, that's a representation of the Black Order in other games now. We have them in Marvel Ultimate Alliance. Also, the newest Marvel vs. Capcom game, Thanos, is playable. And I do believe at certain points of the plot he can shift stones. So there is definitely a few areas where you can play as Thanos. Really right now in Marvel Future Fight and Strike Force is the only area where you can play as the Black Order. And here in Strike Force we're only looking at 2 of them. So that's what I wanted to do for you guys. I had it in my head to do this video. I put the Marvel Avengers Alliance Redux content reveal video in front of that, but unfortunately it didn't work out, and we are going to redo that. So stay tuned to the channel. Hopefully we will get to that soon. And the Proxima order is here. Excuse me, the Proxima offer is here for about another 14 hours or so. Save on 8 Dead of the Night orbs with the offer. Each orb has a chance to gain 180 Proxima shards. Grant Thanos the Space Stone. Gain assist from Corvus Glaive and apply stun and slow to the enemies for 25 bucks. I think her helmet there looks so very carbon fiber-ish. It's more tech than I think she's ever represented. I still say she does look... she looks pretty mean over here. A little thinner and a little bit more tech-ish compared to other representations. Corvus seems to me like he strikes a fair balance between his movie representation and classic representation, but his face isn't that evil. It's more smirky, like he knows something the rest of us don't know. In Marvel Future Fight, he's sort of a little more like hobgoblin-y, but, you know, to me, over in Marvel Avengers Alliance, I think that is where Corvus has looked the most imposing. And early fights with Corvus, of course, he had that ridiculously annoying res that he does have in Marvel Future Fight, but they did not bring the res into the Marvel Strike Force representation. But later on, Corvus didn't res nearly as much. That wasn't just part of his kit. Because of that, he tends to get represented as having slightly weaker health than a lot of the other Black Order characters, but here he's still coming in the 4. So that's not surprising, but later on, in Spec Ops 20, his health was reduced to a 3. Actually, a lot of his stats were reduced. His evasion was buffed, but then a lot of his other stats were dropped. And I don't know that I necessarily ever felt that when I was fighting him. I did feel he got easier as MAA ran along, but the only reason why I thought he was easier was because we were just better. We had better characters and better agents, but maybe they nerfed him a little bit. So thanks guys for the video. I'm sorry the Marvel Avengers Alliance Redux content reveal is going to be running a little late, but hopefully it won't be too long, and I guarantee you guys are really going to enjoy it, and it's going to put to bed, or put to rest really, a lot of the fears you may have about how Marvel Avengers Alliance Redux will adapt to the future without having the original devs as part of the work. You guys are going to be really, really happy about this, and there's going to be some really good fan favorites in this reveal. Some of them, not the biggest fan favorites out there, you know, there's certain ones that everybody clamors for, but you guys are going to get a couple really, really solid nuggets of enjoyment out of it when we get around to it. So thanks guys, and again, sorry for the delay on that video, but here's the Black Order to tide you over in the meantime. Peace out, everybody.